Hello and welcome back to Good Game Nation, where we bring you all things TCG. My name is Preston, and today is the news. And we got an interesting one to get into this week. A few cards, a few things on the official website, and generally some pretty exciting cards to talk about, I think. Let's start off with the official website in Japan. We got an announcement for our next starter deck, which is pretty exciting. I love to hear about these starter decks and try to figure out what we're going to do with them. And for this one, they're calling it Starter Deck EX Gear 5. And we can see that it's a Gear 5 Luffy leader. And if we peek at the box over here, that looks like a red Luffy. So that's pretty interesting. We're getting a red Gear 5 Luffy leader. And just to dig into what makes it EX, what does that even mean? They're just using letters now. I don't know. There actually might be a reason for it, but let's look into what's in the contents. We got our 51 card deck, 50 card deck, leader, 17 total cards. That's pretty standard. So this is a standard style. It's not a 3-leader deck like the Three Brothers or whatever. 10 Dawn cards, pretty standard. Bonus pack. So, similar to the Three Brothers, this is probably going to be a promo pack with alt arts from cards in the set, my guess. Play sheets, nothing special. But you also get sleeves, so similar to what we've seen in previous ones, with the 3 captains, you got a starter, you got a deck box. This you're getting sleeves. So they're just throwing some extra stuff in the box to get you excited about it. I'm guessing it's going to be slightly more expensive. I don't know what the cost in yen is for a standard starter deck, but I would assume with the sleeves and the pack, you're going to get a little bit more than average. So maybe it's a $20 starter deck instead of 11 or 12 in the US if you can get it at MSRP. But pretty standard breakdown. Actually, I wonder if there's any rares in starter decks. I can't remember. But 2 super rares, that's really standard. You usually get 2 of each. 14 commons, 16 playable cards plus your leader makes 17. And they're going to be mono red. Pretty interesting. I'm really excited to see when they start releasing it, especially because it's a mid to end of December release date. So we should be getting those cards coming in quick. Especially because I think the next set releases at the end of this month. Royal Bloodlines, I think, is fully released at the end of the month. So these cards are going to be flying at us real quick in December. But with that, that's all I can tease about this for now, because it's all I know. But what we can do is jump over to the English website, and they're announcing dates for at least the first half of 2025, February 2025. Treasure Cups are coming. So we got dates and the companies that are running them, the orgs that are running them for our regions here. And the reason why I want to bring it up is because the application date is coming up very soon. I think it's next Sunday. So if you want to get into February Treasure Cups in any of these regions, make sure that you are online at your time slot wherever you are, so that you can get in while you can, because spots usually go really quick. So here's your heads up. Put that in your calendar. Get up a few minutes early, half an hour early. Get on the website, click the registration, and be ready to register. Because if you second guess yourself, you'll probably miss it. But with that being said, let's start jumping into the cards for this week. We got a few from Twitter. We can jump straight into this first one here. Kamakura Jussoushi. I tried to practice it and I still got it wrong. 2-cost red event, Punk Hazard Don Quixote Pirates. Counter, choose up to one of your leader or characters. It gains 3,000 during this battle. Then, one of your opponent's leaders or characters get minus 2,000 during this turn. Trigger, choose up to one of your leader/characters it gains plus 1000 for this turn, or during this turn. Yeah, okay, so plus 3000 to one of your characters, minus 2000 to one of their cards. Could be really interesting if you can get a double attack to get, I guess it doesn't really matter for your character, it's a counter, so plus 3000 for this battle, minus 2000 to their leader for the turn though. That's pretty crazy. With the punctuation here, I think you're going to be able to have a 5k swing, like in power, 3000 to yours, minus 2000 to, plus 3000 to your character or leader, minus 2000 to their character or leader. So that's a pretty significant movement. Or since it's a counter, you could stop this attack and prevent the next attack from coming by making it 2000 power weaker. It's really interesting to have that period there, allowing it to probably be split up into different ways. A lot of versatility in this ability to really set back their attacks. Great counter card. I'm really excited to see what people do with it. Moving on to our next card. Nami, green character, 2 cost 2k power, 2k counter. Odyssey, Straw Hat Pirates. On play, if you have 2 or more rested Odyssey type characters, up to one of your opponent's rested Dawn will not become active during your opponent's next refresh phase. That's crazy cool. I love that. Extremely strong card, I think, and should be pretty easy to get. Probably not the turn that this is playable on turn 1, but turn 2, turn 3, stopping your opponent from having a single Dawn back, maybe getting 2 of these on board might be crazy. Basically setting them back a half a turn, or at minimum a half a turn, and at most 2 turns, or 1 full turn. I like this. I think it's exactly what green needs to do crazy stuff. And this deck is very pigeonholed into being almost fully Odyssey, so it needs cards. Again, I've said this for weeks, every time we get a new Odyssey card. I don't know if this is enough to make this deck playable, but this is a really interesting card to have to further play in this like counter meta area, which is really interesting. Quite excited to see what they do with Odyssey, and if they're just going to be pushing a ton of Odyssey cards this set, because I feel like most of the green that I've seen has been Odyssey. At least that's what it feels like. Next up, we have Mansherry, blue character, 2 cost, 0 power, 1k counter, Dantada, Dressrosa. On play, you may rest up to one of your Dressrosa type leaders or stages, and return one of your 4 cost or greater Dressrosa type characters to your hand. Return up to one of your opponent's cost 4 or lower characters to its owner's hand. So pretty interesting cost. Pretty standard when it comes to Dressrosa, where you have to rest your leader or stage as a cost. Additional cost is to bounce one of your 4 or greater characters to your hand. That's interesting. Blue likes to do this, and as a benefit of all of that, you get to bring 4 or lower cost to your opponents to their hand. So, do I really want to bounce my 4 or greater to get rid of one of their 4 or lower, plus use up my stage or leaders, like one of the few ways that I get to use it? I don't know. It's pretty good. Bouncing cards is great. Bouncing a card from your side of the field and your opponent's side of the field is nice and balanced. I'd love to look at the Dressrosa cards and see if there's some really good like on-play effects in the 4 or greater space that I want to reuse and abuse, and that this card becomes a lot better when I know what I want to pick up. But without the full encyclopedia of all the cards that this could pick up, I will say it's good enough to give it a look. But once you give everything a look for the deck, it could easily get passed up if it's not beneficial enough. Because there's a lot of cards that you're going to want to use that are going to rest your leader or stage. Since most of the blue and black cards do that for Dressrosa. Anyways, interesting card. I would love to look at the Dressrosa deeper to figure out if it's actually good. Mansherry always has a bunch of text on her card, so it's got to be something. But we can always move on and come back to it once we know everything that's out there. And we will. We'll move on to this Pika. Pika, purple character, 4 cost 5k power, Don Quixote Pirates. 1k counter. Once per turn, if this character were to be KO'd by one of your opponent's effects, you may instead rest 2 of your Don. Interesting. Since it says by your opponent's effects and not by battle, I think it could be really interesting because they could have paid quite a bit to get that effect to activate, and then you have an easy counter of 2 Don. But like most Pikas, I'm underwhelmed by it, and I think there's better uses for 2 Don, or at least a better 4 cost position in this deck. Yeah, generally underwhelmed by it. I think if it wasn't 2 Don, I think it might be better, because I'm pretty sure there's other cards that just once per turn you can't KO it type of thing. Since it comes with a cost, I feel like it isn't as good as it could be, but you might need that staying power. You might need that ability in this deck, because I know there's a lot of really good like upper end characters with the Rocinante and the Doflamingo, but getting there and being able to have staying power, this might be good because it gets a little sticky and it will stay on your board for a little bit longer. But generally, I don't know. Maybe it's just the bad taste that green Pikas left in my mind that make me hesitant to consider this uncommon as anything other than something to overlook. Hopefully this next card isn't easy to overlook. This is Kozuki Momonosuke, black character, 2 cost 0 power, 2k counter, Dressrosa, Wano, Kozuki family. Activate main, you may rest this character in one of your leaders or stages with Dressrosa type. Give up to one of your opponent's characters, cost -2 for the turn. I was wrong, very overlookable. I think there's much better cards that can give a -2. The only staying power this card has is it's a 2k counter on top of all of that, but this goes directly to point out the problem with like Mansherry. You have to rest your leader or stage to activate this effect. You have to rest your leader or stage to activate Mansherry's effect. That means you're getting 2 of your character's abilities ever. And that's going to be hard to balance, and also easy for you just to go, I'm just not going to play cards that do that. I'm going to play cards that play straightforward. I don't have to rest my stage for. Maybe there's a couple in the upper end that I want to have that stage in the deck for. But I think it's really easy to play other cards that will minus or that will do stuff so that you don't have to worry about losing your 2 resources, which is your leader or stages being active. Let me know in the comments if I'm off base on that. I would love to know what people's opinion is on the Dressrosa type and its effect on active leader and stage. Next up, Room. Yellow event, 1 cost, Supernova, Heart Pirates. Counter. If you have 1 or less life, give up to 1 of your leader or character cards plus 3,000 power for this battle. Then set up to 1 of your 5 cost or lower characters to active. Trigger, draw 1 card. That's pretty cool. So you have to be towards the end of the game, 1 life or less. Then you are able to give a 3k counter, which is pretty nice. You're going to need that at the end game. Then restanding a 5 cost or lower character could give you another blocker. So potentially this could block 2 attacks with 1 cost. It could do a lot to get that 5 cost or lower as active. I think it would be interesting to give power to 1 character and restand another character. I think that's much more effective than restanding the character that's being attacked. But all options. I think this is a really good 1 cost event. And at the end of the game, I would love to draw a card on a trigger, or I would love to have a 3 cost or a 1 cost 3k power boost and an active character. I think that's great. Yeah, I like it, and I will love to see how people incorporate this into their Supernova yellow decks. Moving on to Divine Departure. Divine Departure 1 cost red event for Emperors, Red Haired Pirates. Main, you may rest 5 Dawn, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 8,000 power or less. Counter, choose up to one of your leaders, it gains 3,000 power during this battle. I pulled up this image, I think it was from a video earlier in the week, because they revealed the alt art on the official Twitter first, but I think that's because this was in a video on the YouTube, but I didn't spend time to look for it because this alt art is gorgeous. I had to take multiple looks at it to figure out what was going on, and oh boy, is it beautiful. I think this is like one of the few events that have alt arts also, and they just went all out for this one. I wonder how much of it is from the manga that they recolored, how much of it was another artist's hand in it, because it's incredible. I would love to applaud the artist. There's nothing on the side of the card right now, so maybe it is just an Oda enhanced art. But it's gorgeous. But the art's not only reason why we're here. We're here about that crazy ass effect as well. The utility alone of being able to have a 1 cost card that has 2 effects is great. Making one of those have an additional cost so that it can do something on main is really interesting. That opens up some design choices that I would love to see in the future, where it's a certain cost event that you pay a little bit more for an effect, or you keep that. Like this exact design in all of the colors I think should be coming. I think this is so cool. So for 6 Dawn, KO or an 8k power or less, it feels a little pricey, but pretty cool. And then for 1 cost on your opponent's turn during an attack, you get to plus 3,000 power, which is also super helpful to have a 3k boost for 1, which is not super common. It's usually a 2k. 3 to 4 usually cost more than 1. So it's really versatile. I think it's really interesting. I would have to compare it to other events that KO, and I feel like 8k power is huge, and there's not going to be very many that hit that big. And it'll be interesting to see what its upper limit is with the Shanks deck, which has a bunch of minus power, so that you can hit pretty much anything probably. So I'm looking forward to seeing how people utilize this. It is 1, gorgeous, 2, super interesting design choices, and also the last thing we're talking about today. So let me know in the comments down below what you're most excited for from this video. Starter deck, treasure cup, Divine Departure. Let me know in the comments down below what you're excited for, because oh boy am I excited about Divine Departure's alt art. But with that being said, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to get more One Piece TCG content, hit that subscribe, and until next time, peace.